if our alignment is really for the long game, to really look at our clients as human beings and families, putting ourselves in their shoes, that will have more enjoyment in the business. I think there'll be much more satisfaction because we know that the customer will come back. There are three types of salespeople model out there, right? The first type of salespeople are people who probably think that they need to maybe live in a landed property to sell a landed property.
Yeah.
They need a lot of social proof for themselves because they feel very insecure, not confident, right? You know, like when you go for seminars, you always see the speakers very powerful, right? They own a lot of the products that they are trying to pitch to you. I mean, that's social proof. It's normal. It's a cognitive bias. So the second type of salesperson are people probably who only recommend products with very high commission, which is what we are trying to avoid. We want to be in the third phase whereby we become salespeople with very high emphatic intelligence. That means we are able to put ourselves in the customer's shoe, which means that we can sell all types of properties as long as we think from the customer's point of view.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we want to look forward to, and is to go for the long game. And which is why I agree with you as well. As just now you said that you always tell your students that you should look at and model people who are much higher, probably overseas. Don't look so much on your competition in Singapore. And I love the quote from Jeff Bezos as well. He always say that, hey, end of the day, is a customer that pays you, right? It's not your competitor that pays you. Don't stop looking at your competitor. Spend your mental energy and think of what your customer want and what they need, right? So I think if our alignment is really for the long game, and then to really look at our clients as human beings and families, then with emphatic intelligence kind of sales concept, putting ourselves in their shoes, that will have more enjoyment in the business. I think there'll be much more satisfaction because we know that the customer will come back, right?
Yeah. Wow, that is so good. That was so good. I didn't expect that answer, and I didn't expect to ask that question. I just happened to hear what you said earlier with regards to serving the customer, and that is really so good. I think we really shortchange ourselves just by working for money. Because I mean, money is good, right? I mean, it can help you to solve certain problem. We're not saying that we shouldn't have money, right? But working for money is going to be one of the most unfulfilling thing ever. But when you serve your customer, right? What I get from you is serving your customer, thinking from for their benefit, right? Recommending product that is good for them rather than good for your own pocket, and serving them in the long run, right? You may get and I feel that when you commit to that, you will never get shortchanged. Like God won't shortchange us, right? That when we commit to it, we commit to serving our customer. In the long run, your reputation will stand. Is a firm foundation, right? And I love it when you say it's a long game, because too many people are giving up long term results for short term gain,
right?
And they will grow to regret it in years to come. Yeah, that was so good, man. That was so good. So right now, what is your goal? Or what are you guys doing right now in terms of social media? Are there any tips that you guys can give to the listeners that are listening? So my listeners are people who are service professionals, small business owners. I mean, many of them are in property as well. So you are one of the people in the forefront, right? And what are some tips that you can give them right now? Because right now it's not as simple as just doing a video and running ads anymore, right? Because every stage, right, there'll be different wave, right? There's new stuff that you have to adapt to. Because if everybody is just following what someone is doing, then you become a follower. You're no longer setting trends. And I realized that you guys are pretty good at setting trends. Like I see your YouTube, like you guys are the first few people in Singapore doing vlogs for property. Right? It's not just vlog in terms of property, but in terms of lifestyle, in terms of sharing about your belief and everything. So what are some tips that you guys have for people who are just starting out in the social media world?
Right. I think you're right that there are various waves of trends, and definitely I think in terms of marketing, you are definitely the expert, because I also saw that you have like the 2 Comma Club and stuff like that. It's like, wow, fantastic, man. So I think one of our inspiration is also from Gary V, right? So Gary V, is always with the idea that you give value. You give value. You give free content. You give value, and this economy is about the giving economy. That means you give value to build that content base that will benefit other people. So of course, initially when we started, we were only doing home tours. We're doing home tours, and then as we graduate along the way, we think that, hey, why don't we start with some educational content? Because I think that it would be great if we can help to educate, the buyers and sellers in Singapore. Although a lot of people will say that, hey, you are giving away all the free tips, all these are free tips. You should only tell the customer when you meet the customer. Why are you giving all these free tips? You're spoiling the market and stuff like that. I think the world has changed
I think
because
there's a bit of scarcity thinking as well, right?
yeah, and everything is transparent now.
Yep.
I mean, and I think it's really important that we have a giving mindset. So I think one trend that we were doing previously was, of course, to continue to give educational content, and of course we dabble into vlogs as well. And through that, we actually enjoy the whole process, because by doing home tours and having educational content, and then at the same time having different types of content, it sort of made us enjoy the entire process. And of course, with that, it helped us to build an audience. I think for us, the way forward is that we are, of course, trying different contents along the way. And we tell ourselves, we tell our team that every year we need to do something different. So for this year, we started our podcast. So we started 2 podcast channels. And then this is something that we are diving into for this year. Next year, we still don't know what's to come. We of course we are keeping tabs on, like, what is the consumer behavior, what are the things that when we populate, it can help people eventually. We don't want to do things for the sake of doing things. We want to do things that eventually people will benefit. Right? Yeah. So it's like, one thing is that sound is probably coming back, which is why like podcast is now on the rise as well. So that's something that we want to explore. Then I think for us, we also run our team a bit differently. We run by a team model. So we want to make sure that in terms of training, our team serves our customers to a much higher level. So we are probably doing things that are on a few fronts. One is to build our content. One is to be on the correct platform. One is, of course, to beef up on our service proposition as well.
Wow. Okay. So I think the biggest thing I got from that is still, giving value that can actually benefit your customers, giving value that can actually benefit your audience, and you just keep doing that long run, right? Because whatever platform you're in, a lot of people always get confused, like all this new platform, like how do I, maybe hack the algorithm or whatsoever. But these are really all short-term things, right? The long-term thing is really like every platform you're in, you just want to give as much value as possible that can really benefit to your listeners, benefit your audience.
Yeah, and I saw your IG and I realized you are a very different marketer, because you give a lot of good content.
Yeah.
And you give a lot of good free content as well. And like, do you personally like to coach people? You like to train people as well?
Yeah. I feel that one of my gifts, I'm a Christian as well, and I became a born again believer about 6 years ago, and that really transformed my life. Like, that's why I relate so much to your story about like working for, used to be working for money, or maybe ethically, there are some things that we do are not right and stuff like that, and that caused me a huge pain when I was young. I'm not super old today. I'm still in my late 20s, but I started business when I was 16. So I had I had a very unethical practice for like 7 years. So my life transformed when I was like 24, 25. Right. And and then ever since then, it's all about giving. I realized that one of my greatest gifts is I was given the ability to like teach, or the ability to like coach people. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy teaching people. I enjoy learning things and then passing down that skill set in terms of framework so that I make it easy for people to understand.
Right.
And I realized that no matter how I run away from that, because there were a couple of times that because of my bad leadership last time, I ran away from that. Right. Yeah, I ran away from that for a few years, but every time I get a chance to share, every time I invited, let's say, someone has an event and I get invited to speak on stage, right after I speak, even though it could be just a short 30 minutes, right? But I feel life flowing,
Right.
So that was when I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to use social media as a platform, right? If I can't stand on stage all the time, because it's tiring as well, right? I can at least put out a content, and hopefully the content can help people. And the best part about social media is that there's this thing called, I believe in this thing called passive impact, more than passive income, right? Because passive income is when you sleep and you make income, but passive impact is when you're sleeping and your videos are still playing, right? All your videos on YouTube is people can still watch it,
Right.
and those are making an impact while you're sleeping.
Right. Which is the name of the show, Story Impact.
Yeah, story impact. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
So before we end this show, do you mind letting the listeners and my